So there is a video that has been going around on social media of Magomed Ankalaev apparently 20 days before his rematch with Alex Pereira at UFC 320 to where he has a broken rib. So in this video, I want to react, give my thoughts on this, and then talk about his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, because Poatan blasted him, and I want to chime in and give my thoughts because a lot of the fans out there that picked Ankalaev, right? I picked Ankalaev. I thought he was going to win, and I was wrong. He got absolutely dusted in the rematch against Alex Pereira. It was very clear that Poatan said, look, I was 40% coming into the last fight. That was not the best version of me, and that clearly was the case, man. He went out there and completely ran over Ankalaev in the rematch, put immense pressure on him, and got him out of there in the very first round, right? And I even said coming into UFC 313, right after the fact, people were like, Pereira was injured, he had this, that, and I'm like, look, don't take anything away from Magomed Ankalaev, man. He went out there and he showed out. He put on a very technical and solid performance. And you even had Poatan reveal that he was injured with a broken hand and neurovirus leading up to UFC 313 and was contemplating pulling out but does not regret fighting. So basically, to me, I see that as he ain't making any excuses, man. He was compromised. Sure, that is definitely going to affect your performance. But then he said, watch this. I'm going to get my get back in the rematch. And he went out there and put on a terrifying and very incredible performance. But you still got people that now that this video is coming out, apparently, right, this video here, they're going to use this as like some sort of like coping mechanism to kind of run with this and be like, well, that is the reason that Magomed Ankalaev lost in this fight. And here's the thing, man. Fighters come into fights with injuries. Poatan came in the first time and was compromised. Ankalaev apparently came in compromised this time around. That's part of the fight game, is it not? That is absolutely part of the fight game. So people trying to take something away from Poatan here, it is ridiculous. Like I said the first time, right? Don't take anything away from what Ankalaev did the first time. Obviously, Poatan was compromised there, but he put on a very tactical performance. He put in a very tactical performance, man. So I just wanted to kind of get that out of the way. But here's what I find. So I got questions about this, right? This video is just kind of popping up, right? This video is just kind of popping up out of nowhere from this guy, Leo Gumares, or I'm not sure how to pronounce that, MMA. And it's like, this isn't coming from Ankalaev, right? Does Ankalaev, I'm sure he knows about this video since someone's recording this, right? Did he know that this was going to be posted? So I got some questions there, man. This video just gets posted by, this guy here, right? And then, during the week, I went back and looked at the embedded vlogs, right? He steps up there for the weigh-ins, looks pretty good there, right? Just from, the eye test here, my observation, he looks pretty good. And then I see him grappling in the embedded series, man. He's hitting pads, this and that. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean that someone is injured. But one of the things that at least I've heard from fighters, right, professional fighters, amateur fighters, and even guys that have been in the UFC have talked about this. Whenever you have like a rib injury and some of those different kinds of things, they kind of tend to stay away from the grappling, especially very close to the fight. We've even heard fighters say, look, man, I lost this fight, no excuses, but I wasn't able to grapple the way that I wanted to because I had a rib injury or I had some sort of injury. So to see that you have a broken rib, apparently, right? You're grappling and doing all kinds of stuff. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just pointing that out there. That's just interesting to me. I don't know. And then here we go, right? These are some tweets that I wanted to bring up back in March of 24. Ankalaev's account says, Joe Rogan mentioned his team said that Alex fought with a broken hand and neurovirus. When fighters step in the cage, nobody is 100%. I was offered a rematch with him in August, and I said yes, but if he is not ready, I will fight whoever is next. It doesn't matter. Okay, so if Ankalaev did have a broken rib coming into the fight, you're acknowledging that you're not coming in at 100%, which we all, as fans, fighters, whoever, know that most of the time when guys step in there, there's going to be some sort of bump, some sort of bruise, something. Fighters are always going to have something, man. It's just what comes with the territory. So you say this, right? Nobody's 100%. And then you say on September 29th, be ready to witness some special, no excuse, all or nothing. Now, I want to be very clear. This did not come from Magomed Ankalaev, right? This didn't come from his account, right? When he lost, he put out a statement basically like, I'm going to be back. I will be stronger, right? He's not making any excuses, right? So this video coming from this guy, that's what's just so odd to me is how this guy has this video and it's just being posted, right? So I got some questions there. So apparently it's 20 days before the injury. But what I find so interesting is the fact that Poatan starts throwing these nasty elbows to what looks like the exact same spot of where Ankalaev has this rib injury. And then people are out there being like, whoa, man, someone leaked some information at the PI. There's people on the inside, dog. They're working for the Poatan camp. They're really conspiring against Magomed Ankalaev. They want this guy out of there that damn bad that they're going to tell Poatan, hey, man, you got to get the fight to the floor, because if you do at some point, man, just target the ribs, dog, right? And if that were true, that some stuff was leaked or whatever, which I just don't buy that whatsoever, wouldn't Poatan be like stabbing front kicks right to the midsection, trying to throw shots to the body on the feet? He didn't really do any of that. He marched Ankalaev down, took a page out of the book of Jan Blachowicz, threw that, threw that calf kick across instead of trying to throw the switch kick, blasted it to the inside, basically going shin to shin, hurt the lead leg of Ankalaev. He switched. Then he went southpaw to where Ankalaev's decent when it comes to the offense when he's in his orthodox stance, because he's predominantly a southpaw. And then Pereira just cracked him with the right hand. Right, and we've seen fighters, when you switch to that opposite stance, you may have offense from that side, but your defense is usually going to be compromised. Poatan broke this guy down, man. Stylistically, he knew exactly how he was going to approach him in this fight. He came in with a really good game plan. Right, and it's just odd to me that these elbows are landing, and now this video is coming out about broken ribs that look like they're in the same spot, or broken ribs in the same spot as Poatan's elbows. That just seems like a wild coincidence or something, man. I don't know. That's weird to me. Very, very weird to me. And again, Ankalaev, either way, he's covering his head, right? And in a championship fight, especially if you're throwing shots, hammer fists to the guard and, they're covering up, the refs are usually going to give in a title fight, they're going to give you time. They're going to give you time to try to fight back, try to move, whatever. But if you're holding your hands up and your body is exposed and you're leaning over and in this situation, what do you want Pereira to do? Of course he's going to throw shots to the open body. Elbows are nasty. That's a good way to get you to kind of shrivel up and get a stoppage. Right, so I'm just not believing that, man. I'm not believing that. I see people kind of, talking about that. And at the end of the day, I'm not sure on this whole thing. It's odd to me, is what I'm going to say. It's very odd. It's very odd. Where's this video coming from? It's not coming from Ankalaev, and Pereira happens to land these nasty elbows, and then we have a rib video. Weird, man. Weird. And this is what I don't like. I don't like this, right? And even the first time, even though Poatan said that he came in, he doesn't regret pulling out. He was not 100% coming into that fight. At the end of the day, you went in there and Ankalaev fought a smart tactical game plan and got the W in the first fight. That's the way I look at it. And then this time around, Ankalaev, even if he does have this broken rib coming in or whatever, you stepped in there, and Alex Pereira, he was compromised in the first one, so if you were compromised in this one as well, okay. And he went out there and put on a great performance. Don't take anything away from Poatan's victory, man, and that's what people are trying to do. It's crazy. He had a perfect game plan in the way he went after him, man, taking out the base, backing him up against the fence, getting him into that stance to where he's not as good defensively, and then landed a nasty right hand to put him down. Don't discredit Poatan's win, man. Like I said before, don't take away from what Ankalaev did in the first fight. Obviously, yes, we could see now that Poatan was heavily compromised, I would like to think, given what he just did in the rematch. And to me, that's almost kind of the difference in the way to assess this. Yes, Ankalaev hurt him at the end of round 2 in the first fight. But if Poatan was heavily compromised, Ankalaev was feeling good, he goes out there and wins a decision. And then Poatan comes back to where, yeah, even if Ankalaev is compromised, Poatan comes out feeling good and dusts him in the first round, man. So to compare the performances, if I'm being honest, Poatan's was terrifying, and it was a statement type of win in a rematch, man. Stop trying to discredit what this guy did to Ankalaev, okay? And then let's talk about Ali Abdelaziz. We're going to see what Poatan basically had to say, because here's the thing that I've always found so interesting about Ali. Whenever you talk about pro sports, right, and in this case, it's obviously MMA, I don't really know. I like to think that I'm a pretty, I don't want to say a hardcore, but like I'm pretty into the game, man. And I don't really know who a lot of the managers are. Even when I watch football in the NFL, I know that there's like Rosenhaus, whatever his name is. Outside of that, I don't really know who these agents and like these managers and stuff are. The point that I'm trying to make, you know who Ali Abdelaziz is. Why? Because it's the Ali show. He wants to be taking pictures with everybody. He wants to be kind of flaunting the guys that he manages, which I get at the end of the day. He's got a lot of big names, high-profile fighters, champions, former champions. I get all those things. But aren't managers kind of guys that kind of work in the shadows? They're really looking out for their fighters. They're kind of just, they're not like the main character, where it feels like Ali is always trying to have the spotlight on him. Am I wrong? That's how it feels to me, man. I've kind of thought that for a while, because people have been wondering, what do you think about Ali as a manager, man? And this is kind of the vibe that I get. He goes on, he does these interviews, he's always talking, right? I remember seeing that clip going around where he's like, I run the media, or I thought I saw something like that. Right? I don't know, man. It's just interesting how all these other managers, you don't even really know who the hell they are. You're just like, who's that guy following around that fighter? Oh, it's his manager. With Ali, you're like, we know Ali, right? And I get that he's had a lot of success as a manager, has outstanding fighters that are managed by him, so I get it. But to me, this guy is like spotlight hungry. He is, and a lot of people have criticized him, saying, look, he looks out for the UFC more than his own fighters. There's been some crazy things, right? When Gaethje stepped in at 300, for example, against Holloway, could add a title shot, right? There's been different things, man, where he tries to double dip when he's got fighters under his management, tries to get them matched up against each other. Those are things that people have pointed out, man. So with this guy, I don't know, man. I don't like a manager always trying to have the spotlight. I know he's got all these big high-profile fighters under him, but now we get into what's kind of going on here, right? Poatan posted this the week of, right, where he's got, Ali back there, and, he's dangling Magomed Ankalaev like he's a puppet. And that is how a lot of people feel, man. That's how a lot of people feel, because Ankalaev gives off this vibe of he's just kind of this chill guy, right? He's this guy that's in the mountains. He's low profile, very chill, very kind of, he'll show up on fight week and be like, no shama, say a few things to try to, kind of rile it up for the fight. But overall, like, he's just kind of this calm guy, right? And then you look at his X account, his Twitter, whatever you want to call that platform, and it's just like, it's wild. It's all over the place. It's a bunch of trash talk. It's this and that. And, we kind of hear that, oh, well, it's partially Ankalaev, it's Ali, or, oh, it is Ali, but he's getting approval from Ankalaev, and all sorts of different things. But at the end of the day, Ankalaev is a grown man, and it is representation on his behalf. So if it's stuff that he doesn't like, he should definitely step up and say something. So people that are just basically putting him off the hook, I just don't know that you could do that, man. And I just feel like Ali has a lot more to do with that account than what people might think, man. And because some of this stuff is just wild. And if Ankalaev is signing off on this stuff, like that's kind of what we're hearing, then again, you're going to be held accountable. You are going to be held accountable, right? And then this is what and then here we got Poatan. He says, when a manager has never been an athlete and wants to promote to gain fame and money, but you're the one in there risking your life and he's outside laughing. Boom. So Poatan shares his thoughts on Ali here as a manager. And listen, this is something that Ali has been heavily criticized for, right? And people are going to argue that and say, well, he's got some fighters that it seems like they need help kind of promoting themselves. They don't really have much of a, that swag to them that can kind of relate with the fan base. They don't really know how to build up a fight and kind of promote themselves. So he'll just hop on their accounts and just kind of say stuff and whatever. But at the end of the day, these fighters, you're grown men, man. You are, and this guy is posting stuff on your behalf. So if you have a problem with it, I feel like you should be saying something. But yeah, at the end of the day, he's going to go out there and he's going to post all these different things, which I think a lot of that has to do with him, obviously. And then these fighters go in there and Ankalaev paid the price because a lot was said. Pereira took it personally, went in there pissed off, and got a first-round knockout. It clearly motivated him, man. Absolutely motivated him. Right, and then Ali, goes and he says, a lot of things happen with Ankalaev in his camp. If it was up to me, he should never have fought this time, right? And it always seems like Ali's very good about this. Whenever a fighter loses, it's like he's got something queued up for kind of a cope of some sort, right? And then here's this super long post that he puts out after Poatan kind of, gave his thoughts on Ali as a manager, and here's what he had to say. Saturday night, Magomed Ankalaev fought Alex Pereira in the rematch, and Alex Pereira won. Congratulations to him and his team. I know his coaches, managers, and always show them respect. I don't know Alex personally, but I am Team Magomed Ankalaev. Whatever I can do to help him, I will do it, as long as I don't insult someone's family, religion, or his nation. Everything Magomed Ankalaev said on his social media, he approved it. And if I did help him, it was his knowledge. Okay, so let's break down this first part here, right? So they basically are like, congratulations to Alex and team. So fair play, congratulating him, right? He knows his coaches and managers. I didn't really know that, right? And shows them, love, respect. Okay, you don't know Alex personally, but I am Team Magomed Ankalaev. We get it. It's the fighter you manage. Whatever I could do to help him, I will do it, as long as I don't insult someone's family, religion, or his nation. And listen, I like when people I don't want people to cross the line when it comes to trash talk, right? A guy like Conor McGregor, that name comes to mind. He went way overboard when it comes to the trash talk. So technically, it doesn't necessarily fall under this category, but Ali or Ankalaev, whatever, through that account, they did take some digs at Poatan, a touchy subject from his past with the alcohol stuff. So we'll go over that in a minute here. But at the end of the day, we are in a fighting business. If people get their feelings hurt over something, beat it. As long as no one speaks about you in a bad way or your family or your nation, like I said, about me doing sports or not doing sports, this is irrelevant. But I have 2 black belts in judo and jiu-jitsu under Master Renzo Gracie, and I also competed in judo and MMA. Okay, so I feel like he's basically bringing this up because Poatan's saying, that Ali basically hasn't been in there and he's not the fighter competing, and he's talking all this stuff through their accounts and making them kind of, putting all these words out there to where, if the fighter loses, they're going to have to eat all that, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, why are you bringing this up, man? Like, he feels like he's kind of backed into a corner. He's got to defend himself and be like, I got my black belts. I got this. I've competed, this and that. But at the end of the day, Ali loves the spotlight, man. Like I said, he loves the attention. He loves when he gets to make it about him. Right? And then he says, but in reality, this is not about me and Alex. This is about Magomed Ankalaev and Alex. Alex was the best man on Saturday night, and we take our losses like men. We move on. I don't know Alex. I don't have any beef with Alex. I respect everything he's accomplished. But all along, I thought Magomed Ankalaev will beat him. And he already beat him once, and I believe if they fight again, Magomed Ankalaev will beat him. There's a lot of things that happen with Ankalaev in his camp, but it's for him to talk about, not me. And if I need to talk about it, I will talk about it. If it was up to me, he should have never fought this time, but he's a grown man. He makes his own decisions, and he lives by his actions. But for now, this is all I have to say. Congratulations to Alex and his team. Life goes on. So he's saying congratulations, but then he's like dropping these other things in there that are like cope. They are. Right? And he's like, if I don't want to talk about him, but if I have to talk about him, or what was he say? And if I need to talk about it, I will talk about it. We know that he'll be more than happy to do an interview, go on there and basically air it all out. We know that he would love to do that. And then he says, and for all the sorry-ass fans, every time somebody from the Caucasus region or the Middle East, Dagestan, Chechnya get a UFC title, they all freak out. Guess what? Get used to it because this is just the beginning. You're a whole bunch of versions. So he's taking a shot at people down here. But here's the deal, man. Some of the biggest superstars we have in the UFC right now are from the Caucasus region. Is Khamzat Chimaev not one of the biggest stars in the UFC that people absolutely love? Yeah, 100%. Islam Makhachev. People love Islam. Massive star. Khabib. When he was fighting, still to this day, Khabib's a massive star. Merab Dvalishvili from Georgia. Ilia Topuria, who's a Georgian Spaniard, right? I think he's from Georgia and now lives in Spain, right? Come on, man. Ilia Topuria's a massive star. Merab's a big name. And there's always fighters coming out of the Caucasus regions that are massive stars, that are well-liked, right? I know some of them get a lot of shit for sure, but there are quite a few that are very well liked, man, because they are very skills. People respect the skills coming out of that region because they have dominant fighters, very outstanding fighters. So there are some big ones that are absolutely beloved inside of the UFC without question. Okay, last but not least, these are some old tweets here that I found. Okay, I found this screenshot online. So Magomed Ankalaev, right, he says to Poatan, he go to all UFC fight to get free alcohol and get camera time. On the other hand, I've been training so hard. March 8, alcohol not help you. Shama. And I think that this was leading up to UFC 313. And to me, it's very obvious when Ali is the one posting this because it's like the try hard to make it like this random broken English in spots, right? Where it all sounds good and then boom, some broken English spots. To me, it almost feels like I'm reading it in Ali's voice whenever he's posting through Ankalaev's accounts. And then Poatan says, see you soon, Ankalaev. And then Magomed replies by saying, you just signed your death certificate. I'm going to punish you for ducking me, and I'm going to make you look like a guy work in a tire shop, not professional fighter. So numerous times it was brought up about the alcohol stuff with Poatan. That is a touchy subject. Poatan is a guy that got it out the mud, man. He is a guy that really turned his life around. And it's one of the biggest things that I respect about Poatan. He's an outstanding fighter, but the way that he kind of conquered those things and has became a world champion. And Ankalaev, he's dealt with his fair share of stuff as well, right? Both of these guys are absolute warriors, right? That's what I respect about them, right? And other things, but I'm saying like those things, like having those stories of like you're dealing with things and you're getting to the top. It's inspiring stuff. We start talking about the tire shop, right? The hard work places that Poatan was in, right? And then you start talking about the alcohol stuff, something he struggled with. You know, yeah, you're not coming after the family, the religion, stuff like that, but you're hitting subjects that are sensitive, man. You are. You are taking digs. And then for Ali to come out here and basically kind of like try to shield himself behind Magomed Ankalaev and be like, well, Ankalaev, I mean, you know, everything Muhammad Ankalaev said on his social media, he approved it. And if I did help, it was his knowledge. So do we believe that? I'll leave that up to you all. Right with Ali, interesting guy, man. Interesting guy. I don't like how a manager tries to always take all the spotlight. This guy is always in the spotlight, always talking, always having these back and forths with people, basically speaking on behalf of his fighters. It's interesting to me, man. It's absolutely interesting. But I wanted to make a video on this. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't take anything away from Poatan's victory, man. It was a spectacular performance. It was a well put together game plan. And again, I want to know more about this footage